Also want to give a shout out to Ronnie Chang, the comedian who invited my wife and I to come to his show at Radio City on Thursday. And as I tweeted on Thursday night, if you ever have an opportunity to see Ronnie Chang in person, and there was also a great comedian who opened for him named Aaron Chen, unbelievable. I mean, I'm a tough nut to crack when it comes to comedy shows. I don't know why. Some people, they love them, and I do as well, but I find that I don't laugh as much as others. I don't know what it is. I was tearing. I was crying. There was snot coming out, all kinds of mucus. I was the mucus king. It was phenomenal. And Ronnie's a huge MMA fan and rolls over at Marcelo Garcia's, I think like 5 days a week or something. Would love to have him in studio one of these days. He's a very busy man. His star is just rising. He is exploding. He's just an unbelievable talent. And so I really enjoyed that experience. That was a lot of fun. I was actually at the show when the whole WrestleMania press conference went down. And like I said last Monday, you have to wait for the whole story to unfold. I feel like this was always the plan. Is some of it reactionary to CM Punk's injury? Is some of it reactionary to the crowd response, to the internet? I don't know. But that was cinema right there. And it continues to be cinema. So we are very lucky, my friends. If you are a person in that Venn diagram of MMA, boxing, and pro wrestling, how could you not be happy right now? All three combat sports are cooking with big things to come. WrestleMania season in full swing, 298 coming up. Yes, a bit of a rough patch as far as the Apex shows are concerned, but we've got some big shows coming up, and boxing is delivering some big fights and big fight announcements, i.e. Haney Garcia. I noticed on Saturday, and especially Saturday night and Sunday, a lot of chatter on the internet about these Apex shows. And I feel like I've been saying it for quite some time and was labeled a hater for saying this. But it's nice to see people finally starting to agree and come around that this just isn't Major League MMA. This isn't what we think of when we think of the UFC product. This isn't what the fans deserve, what the fighters deserve. This just isn't it. And it's tough to get through these shows. You know, 6.5, 7 hours, no atmosphere, no buzz, no energy. And you're starting to hear more and more fighters say, please don't put me on this card, or I was bummed to be on this card because it was at the Apex. It should feel as big as possible. And not every event is going to be 300 or T-Mobile or MSG or Staples or Anaheim, etc. But it's, I mean, there was once a time, guys, not that long ago, where every single show was on the road in front of thousands of people. And as I've said time and again, we can complain all we want to the UFC. We can complain all, they're not changing it. The only one who has a real, in my opinion, a real say in these matters in order to affect change would be the broadcasters, and in particular, ESPN. ESPN, obviously, their most lucrative media deal. If ESPN says, we don't want this, we're paying you X amount. Think of it this way. When the ESPN deal started in January of 2019, they cut a deal for, it'll go till end of 25, for X amount, around 43 events, saying, we're going to pay you X amount to deliver these deals. And excuse me, these fights and these events and these broadcasts. And the UFC takes that amount, and then they decide how they're going to break it down. They have their own budget, and you know they can do what they want. If the show is going to cost $1, they pocket X. If it's going to cost $10, they pocket Y. The same deal is still in effect, but now because of the pandemic and because of the, I don't know, the convenience of doing these events literally at their HQ, they're pocketing even more, which, you know what? Fair play. You figured it out. You have the venue. You had the foresight. It's the belle of the combat sports ball. Everyone loves it and speaks glowingly of it. But if I'm ESPN, I say, yeah, okay, we're still paying you the same amount. And you showed in 2019, and you showed in the beginning portion of 2020, you showed that you could put on these events worldwide. You showed it throughout the Fox deal as well. Can we go back to that product? Now, if the ratings don't suffer, if the streaming doesn't suffer, no one really cares. And so it's going to be, I don't see it going away. all this year. Next year around this time, they'll start to get into the renewal or whatever the new deal is. Look, they just signed that Netflix deal a year out. WWE, that is, TKO, parent company. If the new deal says, hey, we only want 5, we want 1, we want 0, then it will change. But get used to it. And it's a bummer because it is tough. It is tough. And you know what's so wild? I was hypothesizing about this and not even knowing the other side of the equation. I was wondering, why didn't they do a UFC event at T-Mobile, at MGM, at Mandalay, at the Palms, at one of these venues? Super Bowl weekend, historically, UFC has always done big events on Super Bowl weekend. Now, they've stopped for the last 5 years, but there was a stretch there, you know, Vitor and Anderson and Diaz, Condit and GSP, BJ Penn, UFC 109, and on it went. Always around Super Bowl weekend. And they stopped. But I thought for sure, first one in Vegas, because they would do those events when obviously the game wasn't in Vegas, but there were so many people in town to gamble, whatever. This game is in Vegas. I thought for sure they would put on an event to attract celebrities, influencers, whatever, to come see the UFC product. They did an APEX show, which, I mean, sounded and looked like there were 10 people there. And they did that thing. They did do that, or someone in the UFC did that. And it was Friday for Slap. And obviously when I said this last week, like, oh, I can't believe it. I'm not up to speed. I apologize on the Slap schedule. I didn't realize they were doing a Friday one in Vegas. And, you know, they'll have Tom Brady there and iShow Speed there and all these people, all these influencers and all these celebrities who are in town. That's the one that they use to prop up on Super Bowl weekend. Just insane. And I get it. The UFC product is the established thing. It's the thing that, you know, is on fire. It's doing well. It doesn't necessarily need the propping up. But man, like that to me is the crown jewel of the portfolio right now. I mean, even look, like WWE did their presser Thursday in Vegas, or whatever you want to call that. It was more of like a presentation. It was brilliant, but it wasn't your traditional presser. But you know, that's what they were calling it. I think it was a live. I don't know what they were. You get the point. There was media there, fans there, 3,000 people at T-Mobile. So everyone wants to be there, and they used Slap as the thing to push on that Friday. Wild. Sign of the times, and of course, sign of the times also. I start seeing on Sunday, oh, they're going to announce the UFC 300 main event during the Super Bowl. People have worked themselves into a shoot to the point where now they think that the UFC is going to announce this main event, which I can't wait for them to announce it just so we can stop talking about it and just focus on the actual card itself. The speculation is absurd. I mean, right now, Chael Sonnen is doing a UFC 300 speculative video about the main events. I think he's now moved on to I don't know, is it Mark Coleman against Kazushi Sakuraba? I mean, he's gone through all the different permutations at this point. It's just driving everyone insane. And so on Super Bowl Sunday, people have convinced themselves, despite the fact that Dana White is telling everyone, hey, this has been some kind of nightmare. This has been some kind of journey. This has been, I mean, we could do a movie just on the making of this main event and card. And people thought that they would just announce it during the, I don't know, during the Super Bowl, during the broadcast. They would have a commercial ready. First of all, this isn't an ABC, ESPN Super Bowl. So it's not like they have that relationship with the broadcaster. It was a CBS Super Bowl. So it wasn't like the actual event could pop on a promo. You know, they aren't in bed with the UFC. They don't have that business relationship. I guess what was my takeaway was, I guess people just don't understand how this stuff works. They can't just wedge their way onto the broadcast. Jim Nantz and Tony Romo aren't going to be like, and yeah, at UFC 300, April 13th, this is going down. Why would they do that? It's not their property. It's not on their network. It's not on their platform. So that was obviously ruled out. If it was an ABC, ESPN Super Bowl, which is coming up in the next few years, I thought, all right, maybe you'll have a promo on there. You'll throw to a package or something. That wasn't happening. Then the commercials. You think they're putting these commercials together like on 2 days' notice? You think that these commercials that sell out months in advance for millions of dollars, he already told you he's having a hard time. They would have had to have this commercial locked in weeks, if not months ago. What are you guys talking? I was like, what? And with all due respect to anyone who works for the UFC, they ain't the ones. Like, I see a lot of them sort of hinting at it, but they ain't the ones that are doing it because they don't want to piss off their employers or boss by quote unquote leaking it. So you can rule that out if you see any of them teasing it, which I get. I wouldn't want to do it either. If my employer or boss or whatever told me, hey, don't say anything, I wouldn't want to do that either. So yeah, I saw that from afar, and I saw some people waiting and speculating and getting all upset. And I was like, wow, you guys have really convinced yourself that they're going to make this happen, that they're going to do this. Everyone's losing their damn minds. Everyone's going crazy. Everyone is just, I don't know. I don't know what it is. And I get it. The event is 2 months away. Tomorrow will be 2 months away. February 13th, April 13th, that's 2 months. It's getting pretty darn tight. And for any regular pay-per-view, they usually don't wait this long to announce a main event. You know, sometimes it's happened 2 months. There's been the weird one. The Australia one was a little bit tight as well. This obviously wasn't the plan, and maybe they're shooting for the moon. And, you know, they've done a nice job of populating the card so it doesn't feel so empty, but there's a big glaring hole. And so let me tell you what I know. And again, I preface this by saying this is not me saying any of this is done. This is why I'm choosing to say it here so I can verbalize and conversate with you all as opposed to done deal, in the works, breaking, slated schedule, blah, blah, blah. A lot of people are holding out hope for Conor McGregor. And again, I need to preface this because this is all on their, you know, this is all on their time. On a whim, they could change everything. But as of right this second, 1:20 p.m. Eastern time, on Monday, February 12th, 2024, he's not a part of those plans. I still believe that he'll be a part of June 29th, International Fight Week. And you saw his tweet yesterday saying, you know, looking forward to the return in the summer. And I think that was a wink, wink, nudge, nudge to the fall comments of Wednesday. So I still think they're holding him out for that one. I think it's crazy that they didn't just put him on this card, but alas, we've talked about this ad nauseum. It's time to move on. So if you're holding out hope on that one, don't. I'll tell you that my understanding is that there are 4 options. 3 of them are, well, I would say 2.5 of them are pretty understandable, expected, whatever. And then there's one that I think people will be like, okay, so let's see. And I don't know what's going to happen. And it's all very fluid. And I think you'll understand why Dana is saying what he is saying regarding the making of this fight. So obviously we know that, you know, Leon and Bilal was something that was discussed, but it seems like they really don't want that fight. They really don't want that fight at 300 for whatever reason. I think that's like their last resort. Obviously Leon said what he said when he was at that Aston Villa match at the end of the year. But, you know, that was almost a month and a half ago at this point. They would have announced it. And it's right there. But also, you have to remember for these guys, like I think Bilal will do it for Leon, a title defense, 7 or so weeks. It's not ideal. And I know he's always in shape, but that one is one that is that has definitely been discussed, but for whatever reason, they're not necessarily pulling the trigger on it. It'll be interesting to find out why. Izzy DDP is something that has obviously been discussed and has been hinted at by both. And for the longest time, I thought, okay, maybe this is a thing. Maybe this is the one, and I would think is the one that makes the most sense. I wouldn't be surprised if it ends up being that. But again, also, the clock is ticking. DDP a little bit banged up after the Strickland fight. I don't think if 300 was a thing, I don't think that they would have gone the Izzy route. I don't even think he would have considered coming back in April. If it was just 305 or 306 or 307, I think he would have taken a little bit more time off, and I think his team and coaches would have agreed with that. But it's definitely an option. And it has come out today that there's a Q&A scheduled for Friday, and the tickets are going on sale in the next few days. They have to come up with something in the next few days. And then we get to the you know, the sort of left field rabbit in the hat, if you will. I think right now, if the UFC had their way, if they can snap their fingers and make the biggest fight in their mind happen and the fight that they've been working on happen, and have their say as to what is the main event for UFC 300, I think that they would make Leon Edwards versus Khamzat Chimaev. I believe, based on my conversations, that when Dana White is talking about, you know, the hurdles and the issues and the different things at play in terms of making this fight and how troublesome it has been, I believe that's securing Khamzat's ability to fight in the United States. This has been rumored for quite some time that he has, for whatever reason, some issues coming over to the States. The last time he fought here was in Jacksonville almost 2 years ago. And so I believe that that's been part of the holdup. If they can't, for whatever reason, secure that matchup, I think they would look at a potential Khamzat versus DDP, but I think that the top choice is Leon versus Khamzat. This could all fizzle out, and I think we'll find out in the next few days. But I believe that is the top choice at the moment. I also believe those other 3 fights are at play as well. Leon Bilal, Izzy DDP, and Khamzat DDP as well. And so let's see what happens. I think that trying to get, I really don't know the answer to why it has been so difficult to get Khamzat over to the United States, what the issue is, but I do believe that is part of what Dana White is talking about. Now, he said at the Friday press conference that there's 2 fights left to add, and then I think he said co-main event and 1 more. I think he just misspoke. They're trying to add a main event. Now, honestly, if it was me, like, I would put Leon Khamzat and Izzy DDP on there. I don't think they're going to do that. Or Khamzat DDP, Leon Bilal. But I do think that part of the holdup here has been the Khamzat thing, which I think is a bit of a left field thing, because I know he was banged up after the Usman fight, and I think a lot of people thought that he was done with 170. And so let's see what happens. All of this can blow up. It's all changing. And this is why I've tried to refrain from talking too much about it, because I know some aggregators out there are going to put out that, you know, I'm reporting this is a done deal or breaking news or this and that. But I'm trying to tell you all, this couldn't be more fluid. This couldn't be, it's why I don't want to even put it in writing, because it couldn't be more fluid at this time. And there's been so many twists and turns, so many, you know, ups and downs, that I don't know what's going to happen by Friday. But I feel like by Friday, they're going to want to try to get something done. Now, they have something on the books as far as a press conference is concerned, or I think they're labeling it as a Q&A. But if I'm being honest, like, they could cancel that. Who cares about that? At some point, these tickets need to go on sale for the venue, etc., and they could delay that as much as possible. I think last I checked was the 16th, if memory serves me correct. But again, they know these things are going to get scooped up. Like, there's no real rush. At some point, it has to happen. And I would imagine by the pay-per-view on Saturday, they would like for it to happen. But, you know, it's a thing. And I would love to hear all the things that they've been through. And maybe they should have or have or will put out a documentary as to, you know, the making of all of this. And I feel like if it's Leon Khamzat, given all the hoopla, all the hullabaloo, people will be happy, right? Am I right, guys? Will people be happy? Connor, will people be happy if it's Leon Khamzat?
Yeah, it kind of feels like a fight out of left field. Plus it's Khamzat fighting a welterweight too. I feel like that's a fight that's big.
That's a big-time fight.
Yeah, of course. It's a huge fight. Yeah, I think people will be happy. I don't know. Expectations are just so high.
Expectations are high. Yeah, expectations are high.
The key to it is the unexpectedness. And I think introducing Khamzat into it is successful in that regard. So, yeah, I think people will be very excited.
What do you think people will like better, Leon Khamzat or Izzy DDP?
Leon Khamzat.
Me personally, I'd rather see Izzy DDP.
Yeah, it's an interesting one.
Because of the splash, right? It's the unexpected. It's the thing that you didn't think you were getting. I think everybody thinks we're going to get Izzy DDP, so that's why. And ultimately, eventually, probably will get Izzy DDP. I think this is the one where it's like it feels more of a special attraction.
Feels like a zigzag.
Yeah.
What do you like better, Izzy DDP, DDP Khamzat, or Leon Khamzat?
Leon Khamzat.
Yeah.
I like Izzy DDP, Leon Khamzat,
and then
DDP Khamzat.
And then the real, and this one isn't being discussed, but then there's also it's sort of like a Rubik's Cube. There's also Izzy Hamza, which
Hamza.
yeah, but that's
Yeah,
not.
but then there's no title on the line.
Yeah, that's true. No, I'm not saying that one's
Amazing fight, but like tough to
But like the
not have a
round
title
robin
on
of
the
them.
line.
I would be happy with that. I mean, if I'm Bilal Muhammad, I'm not happy.
I was gonna
about
say,
that.
where does Bilal play into this? I mean, that's
rough.
just
What an indictment on how they feel. I mean, he's right there, and the resume, I think, is title shot
Indisputable.
worthy.
Of course.
By the way-
of course, there's no question who should get the title shot. It should be Bilal.
Is it like are you surprised by the indictment? Like it seemed, unless I'm misreading the tea leaves here, like it seems like they would have done anything in their power not to do it at this point.
Yeah, I mean, again, if the April pay-per-view was UFC 305, I think it's let's just do that as the main event.
Yeah.
But I think what the problem is they want this big fight. They want this big fight at the top.
Yeah,
of
they
the
need
bill.
the splash.
I think Izzy DDP. If they've been breaking their head for the last, I don't know, couple weeks to get the Khamzat situation figured out, whatever it is, and I don't want to speculate because I don't know what exactly the issue is, and I think that would be reckless on my part, but it's clearly part of the issue here. I think Izzy DDP is totally fine as a 300 main event.
As long as you don't lose that, as long as in the process of trying to potentially do Hamzat versus X, you don't lose the option of Izzy DDP, then I kind of get the instinct to try to make it happen. If you end up losing it on the basis of that because you've either waited too long or whatever the case may be, that's where I would say, hey, you've got that, bird in the hand, take it.
This is a great point because the clock is ticking, and at some point those guys are going to be like, all right, I'm not going to.
I mean, what is it from this past Saturday? It's 8 weeks away.
Yeah. And as of right now, they're not telling anyone. Like everyone's just being told, like, sit back, chill, wait and see. And let's say they decide by Friday, we're talking 7 weeks.
I think we're gonna get it soon.
Oh,
That's the biggest thing. We're gonna get it, and we're gonna get it soon.
You have to get it in the next 2 weeks. I feel like this week would be a good week with the pay-per-view and all that. But yes, I mean it's not a matter of if; it's a matter of when.
Yeah, I mean, of course, yeah, we're going to get it. I mean, last night I didn't know what all the hoopla was about until like the halftime or maybe the third quarter. I didn't see the original Chiesa tweet that everyone got excited about.
Yeah.
So I thought maybe I had missed something and that we were like supposed to get the announcement.
No.
And then I was in my kitchen and I saw Dana White show up on my TV during a Bud Light commercial. I was like, wait, what's going on here?
No, you guys think that they're going to announce something on the commercials of the Super Bowl? You guys have lost your mind.
I mean, in my head, I was like, of course they're not going to do this. Like, of course they're not going to do this.
Chiesa is the one that's going to tip everyone off?
I mean, yes, of course. None of it made
off
sense.
those weigh-in shows and those freaking desk shows faster than you can say.
Listen, I was out of the loop. I jumped into the loop once all the chaos had already begun. And yeah, did I think I was really going to get it? We were really going to get it last night? No. But yeah, I mean, when I turned and saw Dana White on my TV, I did get a glimmer of hope for a half second.
God, it's just a Bud Light commercial. Damn it. So there you have it. Let's see. Maybe they announce something during our show, and it would be fun to talk about it all. But that's what we know at the moment. Very, very fluid. All very developing. All very fun. What a saga it has been. It has certainly given us a lot to talk about. Yesterday, there was a video that came out where on the Countdown show, Henry Cejudo fires. Well, did he fire him? I don't know if he fired him. He said that he wasn't going to have him help him out or corner him for the fight against Merab Dvalishvili. He said this to Captain Eric Albarracin. Did you guys see this video of Henry Cejudo going up to Captain Eric?
Uncomfortable. I don't know why I did it on air.
So the first thing I thought was that it was a work.
Yeah.
Didn't look real.
It didn't look real, right? It looked like an absolute work. Captain Eric says to him, it's all about you being champ. If this is best for you and you being the greatest of all time and all that, I'm cool. And then Henry's like, this is why he's the man, because he, is okay with it. And so I reached out to Captain and I asked him if it was real, if it was a shoot. And his response was, as real as it gets. Legit. Now he's actually going to be in Anaheim to coach Paulo Costa. Which
I still feel like him saying it was real. I don't know.
You think he's working me?
I don't know. It just didn't feel like it was real.
Why would they put that on camera if it was actually real?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Why would his reaction be so like calm? I feel like the first thing he would say would be like, "You're doing this on camera?"
Yeah. Like what the hell? We've been for as long as I've known Henry, Captain Eric has been with him.
Yeah, it's just I don't know. Weird all around.
So anyway, I asked Captain Eric to come on the show. He's actually in the air right now, but on Wednesday, hopefully we could get him on to clarify all of this. Would seem interesting. And I do increasingly feel like if this doesn't go Henry's way, that this is the last time we see Henry.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah, I'm starting to think that too.
If Merab beats him...
But if he wins, he's probably going to get a title shot, yeah?
Yeah.
He's currently an underdog plus 164, minus 198. Merab, does he get a title shot?
If he beats Merab?
Number 2 contender, he's number 3.
Over Corey.
Big name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know,
Former
man.
double champ.
I think they would be more inclined to do Corey if Suga wins. Corey Suga rather than Suga Henry. What do you think?
Why?
I don't know.
Why would they want Corey over?
More fan-friendly matchup?
Nah, I feel like Cejudo's bringing main event, UFC pay-per-view main event to the table that Corey cannot. Former double champion.
Just lost a title fight in May? One win?
Yeah, and then he beats Merab.
In a very, very close fight.
Corey's coming off
I can't see a world where they'd want Corey in there over.
It is kind of wild, right? It's either a loss and he's maybe done or a win and he's right back in the title picture in what would probably be a favorable matchup for him on paper, right? Given the skill set. If it's Cheeto or Sean.
It makes sense for Cejudo's career. He came back and got an immediate title shot, and now if they didn't give him a fight that I think would put him back into title contention, I think he could have walked away after that. Like if they said you're gonna have to fight Umar, does he stay around? I don't think so.
Probably not.
Nah, he needed something a little sexy. I mean, this is a tough fight.
It's a very tough fight, but I think this is the fight you look. Give me fights that are going to keep me in title contention. If that's not available, I'll leave. And to be honest, he should. Like, I think this is exactly what he needs for his career.
I wonder if Henry regrets leaving when he did. He was champ. He was getting pay-per-view points.
Probably.
He was in his prime. He walked away.
I don't think he'd admit that to you, but yeah.
No, didn't quite get what he wanted. I think he thought that they were going to come crawling back with some big money fights. Didn't quite work out. Gets the title fight, loses it.
The fact that he came back at all tells me that he regrets it.
Right. Yeah, to a degree. I mean, life changed for him, right? He became a dad. Things change.
Sure, but could have just stayed champion and defended that belt.
Are you guys... I haven't even mentioned Ian Gary versus Jeff Neal.
298's got some...
298
is amazing.
Those top 4 fights in particular, and you could throw on Roman Kopylov, fine, but like, and Anthony Hernandez, but like those top 4...
Flavor placement.
Yeah.
When it was Alaskarov, was a little bit more exciting.
Those top 4 fights, that's elite stuff. And I love them because they all have great... I mean, is Paulo Costa going to show up? Yes, I think he's going to show up.
I think he is, yes.
But
I hate this. I hate this.
I hate it too. I hate it too.
Paulo Costa going to show up narrative. It's such nonsense.
I hate it too.
Is it nonsense?
I mean,
yeah, because some of them weren't even like him planning to ever show up. Like they're putting out these advertisements for Costa versus Alaskarov, like that was ever going to be a thing.
Sure.
And then like, whoops, yeah, he pulled out. No, he didn't pull out. Like, let's just be real about this. Like, and you know, you get staph infection. No, what did he have? Yeah, staph.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like the guy's just like dropping out of fights. There's explanations. I'm gonna defend my barber to the death. So shout out to.
I mean, both these this main and co-main. I like all 4 of these fighters like a lot. Don't want to see any of them lose.
He does lean into it.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, which I think makes it funnier and I think pushes the narrative more.
Right.
Like, leans into
yeah, he's
it.
tweeting like, "Am I going to show up?" and stuff like that. It's funny.
I mean, and then we did have the Marvin Vettori fight week, like where they like had to on the fly agree on 205 or however much what the weight was. I mean, that made for some great moments though. The Zoom call.
The Zoom call was one of the funniest things that's ever happened.
Yeah.
Whitaker looks dialed in. He looks fired up. I said last week that Ian Gary, you know, it's been a pretty drama-free, stress-free road to this fight. And then Rampage had to go ahead and ruin it all. Like, there was nothing going on.
I hate to see it.
There was nothing going on with Ian Gary. He did the one interview. People accused him of reading a script, which I still don't believe. Nothing else. Stayed out of the spotlight. Rampage comes on, takes a shot. Come to find out, he was booked and agreed to go on Rampage. I don't know. I think it's actually supposed to happen today. I don't know what they agreed on.
Oh, I hope it happens.
But then, you know, then I see this this Instagram story from him, and he's not happy with Rampage.
Here's the important question.
He said he's not going on. He said there's no way he's going on.
Did Rampage reach out to you?
Did Rampage and about what?
Just say like, hey, you know, I said this thing. Now all of a sudden I'm in this hot water. Ian Gary's mad at me.
Yeah.
Did he say anything to you?
There might have been a. You see now, every time I talk
about
to you,
what? Like there couldn't have been a way to have it, and then you're like, well, yeah, he kind of did. So what happened?
there might have been a. Every time I talk to you, I get in trouble. You know. But I will say he wasn't stressing too much about it.
Yeah.
You saw him at the Super Bowl last
By
night?
the way,
Yeah, he was there with the big hat.
Yeah, it looked good.
he had a very gracious response. You know, like he was like, look, I messed up. I said something silly. Like, you know, much respect. Like he wasn't like doubling down on the idea of like
No.
anti Ian Gary. It was a very measured response from Rampage.
There actually wasn't. I mean, I thought that he was going to go because Ian had some choice words. I thought he was going to go scorched earth. But if I'm Ian, my advice would be either A, and I said this to his team. I was like, Rampage said a lot of things on the show last week. I don't think whatever he said about Ian got any kind of traction. You know?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I feel like by bringing it up, you only make it into a thing. Just let it die. Now, I can understand it's a sensitive subject. You're defending your family's honor, this and that. I would just show up on the show and
Hash it out.
hash it out. If you're going to lean into it with the commercial and the spot, Rampage isn't going to do it. He's either going to punch him or something. Lean into it. Not going on tells the world that this really has bothered you and you're affected by it and you know what I mean? That's probably the worst.
I mean, I think the Instagram story did enough to say that he's bothered by it. You know, I don't think there's any confusion about that.
Yeah. It's a weird thing. It's a weird thing with Ian, but I'm excited to see him back. I hope that it's a relatively stress-free, drama-free week for him, and we can finally see him back in action against Jeff Neal, the fight that we were supposed to get back in July. Now, we do have a few minutes before we get to our next guest, Arnold Allen. Why don't you tell us how the weekend went for the Parlay Boys, Mr. DC? What does that mean? Bad?
Yeah, let's go ahead and put it up there. I mean, we start the night with a no contest for Juliana's pick, and then the boys go 0 for 3. A big goose egg. I mean, a tough start. Tough start to 2024 for the Parlay Pals, Parlay Boys, whatever you want to call us. 0 for 4 so far. We got to bounce back. Got to get it right on 298. Tough sledding for us. And then on to my picks. I mean, a roller coaster of a night. I mean, I got one, I missed one, I got one, I missed one. You know, hitting plus monies. And then it all came down to the main event. Pfeiffer, I was on the under. I was on Pfeiffer. Worst case scenario, Hermanson wins by decision. Sure enough, Hermanson wins by decision. It was about halfway through the third round. I was like, Hermanson's going to win this by decision. It's going to cost me everything. So, yeah, I mean, just similar to last year, a bit of a rough start out of the gates, but we righted the ship last year. I think we'll do the same this year. I'm not too concerned about it. Very close to winning weeks. But, I mean, man, go back to these singles. What am I doing laying minus 185 on Devin Clark? What am I doing? What am I doing laying minus 220 on an under? That fight went to a decision. Under 1.5. I mean, you know, things that we can correct. Don't play chalk on Stoliarenko. Don't play chalk on Devin Clark. We learn from these things. They say you either win or you learn. That's what we're doing. We're learning. We're downloading the information here at the start of 2024. And we dipped below 100 units for the first time in a while.
Wow.
Down to 98. Yeah.
When was the last time?
Ooh, since we hit it. Since we hit it, we hadn't dipped down under it. So
No, I know, but when was that? When did you hit it?
man, I think like October,
Yeah.
November. I do have a couple big hitters
Tell
that
us.
I can get into.
All right, so at least someone's doing well.
I actually didn't get that many. I didn't get that many entries.
Oh.
And like they're really not that crazy either. But like they are really good calls. So I will shout out just two guys here. Jordan Wong, 333. He called exactly what I got so wrong. Bryzek Poteria, plus 475 to go the distance. Nailed it. He threw 500 on that.
Oh.
Won 2,400. So congratulations to him. And then one other one. Again, got what I got so wrong. He got this one right. Combat Disciple. Jack Hermanson by decision. Plus 600. Threw 100 on that. Won 600. So not a ton of entries this week. I mean,
Wow.
When you have these Apex cards, you get a lot of less bets put down, so a lot of less potential for big hitters. It's also lesser known fighters, you know, all of the above. I think 298, we bounce back, I bounce back, and we get a lot of big hitters from that.
Is there something to be said that maybe for the Apex cards, there should be like a 3-bet minimum or something?
3-bet maximum.
Oh, that's what I meant. Sorry.
I think that's a good call. Honestly. I mean, we were talking.
Like, is it time for us to implement rules? Like I saw our friend Pizzi say, "I'm no longer staying up to watch Apex cards."
I mean, it's getting to the point now where we're slogging through these Apex cards, and I'm like, this is something. This is something.
Yeah, and it's not like there were a lot of, I don't know. There were some nice finishes here and there. There were some knockouts. There were some good stoppages. I know there were some decisions. I know, but it's like you put that same card. And I know the main event wasn't exactly, but it was dominant. It was a nice win for Jack. You put that in.
It was a back and forth fight. It was a nice comeback.
Yes.
It was a vet lesson. It was entertaining.
But it's just, I hate to harp on the atmosphere. I hate, like, this is why we get into these things. Imagine the NBA was still doing their games at the bubble in Disney.
But you also do have to admit not only the atmosphere, but the cards are of lesser quality.
Oh,
it's undoubtedly, like, there is no argument they would not be putting this card on in front of a 20,000 seat arena, 15,000 seat arena, wherever it may be. Like, the cards take a hit, the atmosphere takes a hit.
I do think that the performances don't get supercharged, but that's probably the best point, to be fair. It's probably the best point because when you are trying to sell tickets and fill up an arena, there's a certain level of, like, look at that Austin card, right? At the end of the year. Like Misha Tate on the prelims, this and that, you know what I mean? That Misha Tate fight could be a main event of an Apex card.
Oh, yeah, I wouldn't put it past them.
And so you're 100% right. There's no sort of like, there's no checks and balances. There's nothing that says, oh, we need X amount of good fights or X amount of names because we're going to venue X in city Y. Here, you can literally put anything. And even if they don't sell a ticket, they don't care. If they sell one of those packages, great. Yeah. It's all gravy.
I love stakes. Stakes is what gets us into this game. I mean, a fight needs stakes for me to really, really, feel like invested in it. And most of these Apex cards don't have many fights with stakes attached to them.
It's not just the ticket sales and all that stuff. It's also the viewership. People tune in for this.
I don't know a single person that isn't like a diehard MMA fan that's watching an Apex card.
Yeah, but they're also not watching Fight Night Austin either. They're the same fans that are watching those are tuning in for both. The card quality continues to decrease. The product continues to get watered down. The middle class of the UFC continues to get eliminated in favor of cheaper labor, Dana White Contender Series winners and sometimes losers graduating to UFC Apex cards and filled with fights that have no stakes and don't matter. And people watch it the same as they would watch UFC Austin. So there's no incentive for ESPN to say, hey, we need to improve the quality of these cards because they're getting the viewership regardless. Nobody who is griping about the card quality or any of the Apex stuff is tuning out. And so therefore there is no incentive for the UFC to change this. And it's unfortunate.
Yeah. It's a bummer. It is really a bummer.
I don't blame the Apex is being the physical building of the Apex is being blamed for a much larger problem, which is card quality. Card quality.
Yeah, I mean, it's just everything that comes.
Well, it's sort of like what came first, the chicken or the egg, right?
Sure, the building.
Yeah, the card quality came first. It's
yeah, but I'm saying it's the card quality, but they're not booking these cards. They don't have the card built and say, you know what, this isn't arena worthy. It's Apex. It's because they have this listed as an Apex show that they don't feel like they have to put anything of real significance on the card. You know what I mean? And so that's why it's like it kind of goes hand in hand. Again, I think the Apex and the PI, they have been two of the smartest things the UFC has ever done. But there's a time and place for them. Contender Series, tough, perfect. These fight nights, not perfect. And honestly, we're probably in the minority. How many people who don't get paid to watch MMA and talk about MMA are watching all four, or at least a portion of all 43 cards? You know what I mean?
A lot of the
you
fans.
Think so?
Oh yeah, a lot of the MMA fans that are the ones that we're talking about, like watching UFC Austin and feeling like, oh, it's so much better of a show because it's an arena. They're watching these as well. They're tuning in for the same thing. They're not skipping it. Low key banger. Every Apex card is a low key bang.
Yeah, but I feel like we're in like an echo chamber on Twitter with that. I think there are a lot of fans that tune out for these cards.
And then they're tuning in for Austin?
Yes.
There's a little bit more buzz.
There's a massive
Tickets, yes.
this.
Don't think their viewing habits are changing that significantly.
Isn't it, like seeing the slap thing on Friday and seeing this on Saturday, the juxtaposition, like Dana does the presser on Friday, doesn't do anything on Saturday.
Oh man, it felt like this card was just like swept under the rug. Like it was just like a nothing thing.
The only devil's advocate argument I'd make is that Slap Fight needs it, right? Like, it is the newer product. That would be the one you'd want to bring people in for. And to the point that I'm trying to make, people accept the slog of these UFC Apex cards and are tuning in anyway, right? You don't need to put the bells and whistles on it because there is just that portion of people that are going to say, these fights are great. They're going to pretend, that
it's always the cards you don't expect that surprise you.
You don't know until it's over.
That's incorrect.
That there's a nobility in suffering through some of these worst cards. Like, oh, you're such a hero. You're such a hardcore MMA fan because you suffered through UFC APEX.
It's like watching your NFL team when they're 3-15.
Oh, 1,000%.
Or your NBA team when they're 13-44. Yeah. You're a real fan. You weren't really suffering.
These bullshit rules. These Twitter bullshit rules. Like on Saturday, our guy Brendan Johnson gets the game winner, 96th minute. You see that?
Oh, of
Unbelievable. And then he does the Jeff Hardy celebration, which was incredible. I don't remember. It's the thing with the hands. And then he posted on Instagram like, wow, this is amazing. My son's birthday is coming up on Friday. I got him a Brendan Johnson Tottenham jersey. And I posted it just out of like, wow, this is great. He's doing well. This is exciting. He's our guy. He's our favorite player. That's not how it works. You don't get to pick another team to like. You have to stick with the one team. You can't go and follow your play. I guess the voice should have been like, "Oh, you can't go and follow your player."
You haven't heard the voice.
Well, I love that. I love it.
What do you mean?
This is towards a kid, towards a child.
Well, I
had all sorts of jerseys when I was a kid. I got all sorts of jerseys, and I'm
me too. But they're like, no, he went to another team. You can't go buy his jersey. Like, what? You can't root for there's all these bullshit rules about what you can
the rules
and
of
can do.
fandom determined by these people who are miserable.
Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up.
I think we're all in agreement. The Apex cards are
they stink. They're not good. They're not
tough.
Good.
That's about the only way to put it.
It is tough. When is the next one after 298? Is there one?
The very next week. Sorry, Mexico. I'm sorry, Mexico.
Oh, Mexico's great.
The week after.
So
out of the next 4 weeks, we only have one.
So we've got Anaheim, Mexico, Jairzinho, which seems like it was just thrown together. Oh, that was supposed to be Saudi.
Who's fighting again?
Gassiev.
Right. Yeah. Main event.
Yes. Wait, that was supposed to be Saudi though. So, well, why'd they move that?
Nobody knows.
No one knows.
And there's no way of finding out.
Yes. They never made an offer.
That's right. They never submitted the card, right? O'Malley, Vera is the following week, and then there's two. Tuivasa type.
Good. Man, Vera, that one's pretty solid.
Imagine Bam Bam Tuivasa was supposed to be on this card and like walks out with the crowd and the fun walkout music and everything. And he's going to be doing that at the Apex. Rose. Are you guys all in for Atlantic City?
All in.
As far as we know, yeah, we're on.
No main event, though. Unless
we're going for the vibes. Who cares?
Yeah,
we'll get one eventually.
You think... do you think they... you don't seem too worried. Do you think they bump up Blanchfield Fiorot?
If they do, they do.
I hope not, but maybe.
I mean, local. You're getting Chris Weidman on there.
Yeah, I love the jersey.
This is my point, right? Like the card quality is what we're after here. It's not the Blanchfield Fiorot at Atlantic City. Like great, but like we're talking about the quality of the card.
Sure.
It's not just the fact that it exists in the Apex or Atlantic City or Austin or wherever. It's the roster. It's what is a UFC main event in 2024.
I mean, essentially any fight.
Yeah, or what is the UFC prelims as an even scarier
gosh.
thought?
I mean, people that got knocked out of the tough house in round 1.
Yeah.
Is Jessica, when Dana says that every fight on 300 is main event worthy for a fight night, or
what is the bar for that?
It's just like, I'm like, I know what you mean, but you know, some of these, I guess
have Lad Dumont too on UFC 300.
Yeah, I guess Apex. Apex.
What that means has changed.
Yeah, exactly. Like 10 years ago, 100, 200. Be like, yeah, you know what? That's a solid little factoid. And also, I feel bad for Cody and Figgy because they definitely shouldn't be the opener, but I feel like they put them the opener so that they can say they're the opener.
Yeah. We're opening the night with Figgy versus Cody Garbrandt.
And if I'm them, I'm
and
like,
then we're going
wait a
Marina
second.
Rodriguez
There's
versus
way
Josh.
less, like that's a prelim headliner. That's an amazing
for
fight.
sure.
But I feel like they're
Amazing
getting
fight.
put there for the distinction.
But the fact that we're gonna get it at all, I'm just counting blessings at this point. You know what I mean? Like, it is truly a good card.
Yeah. Did you like the halftime show?
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I mean,
I thought it was great.
Being from Atlanta, he repped Atlanta hard. And
Lil Jon up in there.
I was gonna say a lot of songs that like when he first started playing them, you're like, yes,
Like
unlocking.
It was like a
memories.
mega mix.
Alicia Keys, big fan of Alicia Keys.
CeeLo.
Loved the piano. CeeLo.
CeeLo.
Wait.
It was Jermaine.
No, I was gonna say it was Jermaine Dupri.
But everyone said he looked like CeeLo.
They said it was Ozempic CeeLo.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was great. I thought the Super Bowl overall was. I mean, I always enjoyed the Super Bowl.
It's a good time.
It's a big spectacle. You got A-list movie stars in the commercials. You got a massive mega star performing the halftime show, and you typically get a great game. And last night, overtime, Mahomes' legacy set. It's a good time all around, man.
I was just so mad there wasn't a UFC 300 announcement. I was sitting there. Edge of
We
my
almost
seat.
got it. I thought we were gonna get it with the
Yes, I
I'm
told
not gonna lie.
Imagine. You know what's interesting though? I guess I say like, oh, they couldn't do this on short notice. It does seem like they filmed something for Gronk's kick because Carl Weathers was in it, which I don't know how I felt about that. You know what I'm talking about?
Now the Gronk's thing. So that was last year that they did it, and now this year was like Carl Weathers was supposed to get him back, on the horse of kicking the footballs. That thing is not live though.
The Gronk kick wasn't live?
No, it was not live last year either. They say that it's live. It's not live.
Are you sure about is this common knowledge?
I mean,
because everyone was talking about it like it was live, and I even saw on Kay Adams' Instagram, she was like, it was so much fun to be a part of this live.
I feel like she's.
You think they're all working us?
Doing a work.
What?
I don't think
it is not shot as live. It has a bit of a filmy look, but you could that's just your setting.
It just doesn't look like it's live.
Are you sure about this?
And like he just happens to like have like these great kicks both years that just like barely miss wide right and then wide left. I mean, last year's there was just no way it was live.
Does everyone? I thought it was common knowledge that it was live. That was
it just looked too produced.
Rick, you agree with this hot take?
I thought it was live, but I also was like half watching it. Like this,
I did not think it was live. I didn't think it was live last year either.
This wasn't my like most locked in moment, but it obviously could be faked, right? Like there's definitely
we got Gronk sitting in front of 100 million people and he goes 0 for 2.
Yeah,
like
he's not an actual kicker. He can't do it.
Right, he doesn't. I mean, I get the whole commercial. He doesn't kick, he catches, but like you wouldn't just practice. I mean, it was like a 20-yard field goal.
Maybe.
But what does that part have to do with the live or not live?
Yeah,
you could make or miss whether it's taped or live. Like
because I think it was just taped, and they did this whole promotional thing around it where you could go on the FanDuel app and bet it, and then you get a bonus bet if you win. And I feel like,
but like, why couldn't he shank the kick live? Is what I'm saying. Like, why does shanking it have to do with live?
Because I think he would have made one of them. If it was live, I think he would have made one of them.
Aren't they taking bets for this?
You could just shank it.
Are they taking bets for this? If they're taking bets, doesn't it have to be live?
No, it's not real money. They give you like bonus bets or something.
But
no,
even
I'm saying if it was just completely unscripted, completely like live, here we go to Gronk, I think he would have made one of them. I mean, he like in both of them, it seemed like he got this incredible contact on it, but he just pushed it left and pushed it right each year. I think he would have made one. I mean, this guy's a super athlete. He has, I mean, at this point, he has nothing but time on his hands doing. I mean, I saw him at the stock exchange just a couple weeks ago. Like, he's just killing time. I feel like you go and practice some field goals, you make it in front of him.
Okay, so I just Googled, was the Gronk kick live? And by the way, I'm so thrown off by this because usually the cynic is Rick.
Oh, no,
by the way, it very well could be. I'm not like, I'm not saying it was 100% live. I'm saying I was half watching and couldn't have cared less. So.
No.
What does Google tell us?
Unlike this is from WCNC. This is the first article.
Okay.
Unlike last year, the kick happened in front of a live audience in Las Vegas. The former tight end said during an exclusive interview with Tegna Digital that he was seeing more progress than this year. Now,
in front of a live audience in Las Vegas.
This is from the New York Post. Whiffed on another 25-yard field goal ahead of the Super Bowl with bettors who correctly predicted the outcome of the kick, earning a split of $10 million in bonus bets. Would get a second shot nearby. This year's kick went wide. This year's Super Bowl kick while advertised as live, actually took place just before the game started in a desert area. I mean, but that just seems like minutes, no? Maybe they recorded in the... Are you saying it happened days ago?
I just don't think it was live when they went there. I think they did it the day of, maybe. I mean, and then later, like by halftime, they already had like this greatly produced commercial for it with John Cena watching the the kick, and then
So I'll tell you why I brought this up. It sounded like they did two separate. They shot two separate like scenarios. Him winning, him losing, because Carl Weathers is in there saying, "Tough luck," right?
Wait, so they recorded more than one is what you're saying?
Actually, there it is. This tied the bow on it. I forgot about, Carl Weathers is like tough luck.
Yes. No, so my thing is they recorded two scenarios. They recorded one where it's like, hey, you nailed it, and one where you didn't nail it, and then they would switch it based on what happened because obviously you need to have...
recorded two scenarios with Carl Weathers.
Yes, because he did the kick, and then they came back later and said like, you know, tough luck, this and that. But the only reason I bring this up was, I don't know, am I wrong? But I felt like it was like in poor taste.
The Carl Weathers part of it?
Yeah, he passed away.
I know, but they had already done this entire campaign while he was alive. I thought it was nice at the very end.
It did have the years.
You know, thanks for everything, Carl.
Yeah. I think it was live to tape, meaning it was off by maybe a few minutes, and then they just recorded these two scenarios afterwards.
No, they would have had already recorded them.
Sorry. Recorded them before and then plugged in
and
the
then
right
just plugged
scenario.
everything.
Yeah.
Why is it significant if it happened exactly live earlier in the day or live to tape?
Now reading that, now after you just read that, I know for a fact, like they were not tossing to Kay Adams. That was already all, and they just ran it like a normal commercial.
No, but
why is any of that significant?
Because they did this whole ad campaign. They're like, watch Gronk live during the Super Bowl kick this field goal. I don't think
I missed all this. All I saw was the actual thing.
Oh,
and I was half watching. And it didn't.
You haven't seen this whole ad campaign leading up to this?
No,
it's huge.
Carl Weathers comes and gets Gronk out of the desert. He doesn't kick. He catches. They did this whole training montage. This is the year that he's going to get redemption and everything. It was great.
Anyway, it was a good time. All in all, it was a good time. Ilya, Volk. That's a good time.
Back to MMA. Yep.
No promos for 298 or 300 on the broadcast. By the way, what about Yair over there, Rick? You didn't get a chance to weigh in.
Quite spicy. I'm all in. Yair versus Ilya in Spain, but cancel the Volk fight. Just do Yair versus Ilya in Spain.
By the way, give me Yair versus Ilya regardless of what happens in both of their next fights.
Great.
One guy wins, one guy loses, one guy loses.
Whatever.
Yeah. Get the heat. Put it in Spain.
Mexico or Spain.
Yeah.
Live show from Barcelona or Madrid.
Oh, that'd be great.
Live to tape.
Yeah, live to tape, true.
The one thing we haven't talked about yet, which happened since we last spoke, was, and I touched on it a little bit, Haney Garcia. How great is this?
Love it.
I mean, how can you not be excited for it?
Hate the fake Super Bowl run-in. Love everything else.
What are you talking about? The little tete-a-tete thing on Friday night?
Yeah, the little, like...
You thought it was
very
fake?
scripted, poorly acted...
Bill Haney's, what do you call him? You said what do you say, he's pimping him out or something?
Yeah.
You hated that?
The fake pull away. Ryan Garcia starts shadowboxing like something was going to happen. Just looked horrific.
I thought it was legit. I thought it was legit.
Well, you also fell for the Gronk kick.
I did.
Speaking of run-ins, your quote running into sideboard.
That was fake.
Now, by the way,
was 1,000% fake.
Those are my. What do you mean fake? They were literally having a conversation. What was faked?
That felt like, hey, let's do this. Let's have people record it and let's put it out there.
Oh, that, I mean, sure, but that, like,
the Garcia thing got spicy. The Garcia thing got, you just called.
No, but they're faking attention, right? They recorded a conversation. There's nothing too fake. They had the conversation. By the way, those are my two quotes. That's the
quote on quote action.
MMA's.
That's another one that won't happen either.
Boxing's greatest woman.
One other thing from the weekend.
Yeah.
Our guy Ryan Mazafari.
Oh, thank you so much. Yes.
Battlefield Fight League 79.
Look at this.
Ryan Mazafari.
He hit him with the who me. Look at that. What a legend.
Who me?
Amazing.
Doesn't matter what happened in the fight. That was a win right there.
Listen,
yeah,
man,
don't care.
Like we said earlier, you either win or you learn. He hit me up on Instagram. He learned. He'll be back. I'm not even worried about it.
Yeah, he's the man. That was amazing. That was incredible.
I mean, he looked smooth doing it. I can't lie. Looked confident. Looks. I mean, look at this. He looks ready to go. Yeah, the smirk pointing down. I mean, it's smooth.
Oh my God, Frank, this is all you. You created this
that.
moment.
Exactly.
Did you know about this? Who, me? Did you know about this?
Yeah, we talked about it last week.
Oh my God.
This has to live forever. It just gets me every time. It's
Oh my gosh.
I could tell that he's starting to, like, man, I need to take that away from him.
No.
What? Who, me? I love it. I say keep it going. I mean, that's right out of Fred Norris's book.
Yeah, shout out to Fred.
You know Fred?
Yeah, Fred Norris.
Are you kidding?
Yeah, I've never heard that.
I don't think
Oh
he knows. Yeah.
Rick, you know Fred?
Howard Stern
course,
show.
yeah.
Yes, he's like he's the one that created this drop thing.
I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I
That
can
Actually isn't true, but
What?
other than
He
created
popularized it.
drops,
He popularized it in the middle of a show to be just dropping sounds. Who did it before Fred?
like every radio,
radio.
DJ
Nah,
in
like,
human history.
That's the busiest.
Yes.
bingo. There it is.
There's another one. No, I'm talking like
Frank is
He
our
didn't
Fred.
invent-
He's been
he did not
doing-
invent radio drops.
he's been doing this since the late 80s to play like no way. I'm not going to allow this.
Listen, I also have to say,
They revolutionized this.
Yes,
No
for
one was
sure.
doing this.
Nobody.
No,
Nobody is.
no one. Name
Nobody
one.
ever.
Who are you going to say?
radio.
Freak-
You think
Who?
I know that
Any disc jockey.
No.
every disc jockey,
Casey.
every radio
Yeah.
DJ from
On a
every-
national scale, a disc jockey in
Well, they're not
at
national.
WJPG in Detroit isn't the same as doing it on NBC radio.
This is
National.
not the argument.
Yeah.
You said that he invented it.
I said he popularized it.
Popularized it. Okay.
Yeah,
Larry David
Uh,
made the cop salad.
popularized it. Meaning
Yes.
because they did it, it became popular because the rest of the world found out about it. World, by the way, not just America. World, Canada. I'm listening to it. Right.
All right. I do have to say before that I was able to guess Howard Stern.
That is good.
Just because anything with you, it's sort of just take the context clues, and I either guess Howard Stern or Billy Madison.
It's pretty much.
I'm hitting at like 80% on that. Just like going in blind.
How?
Yeah,
It's been working out for me.
By
The
the way, how did
Mucus
we?
King reference earlier.
The
That
Mucus-
was-
yeah.
that was funny. Yeah.
Yeah.
How do we feel about
Frank goes, is that from Billy Madison? I'm just like, yeah, probably.
Did
It's
you
actually
Google
Mucus
it?
Queen in the movie.
Yes,
he
but
was
I'm
making
like-
a subtle nod.
Yes. The Mucus Queen is yours. Someone must have known that somewhere. There's got to be someone out there who
Frank
told you
Flynn's
that.
in this control room knew it.
I feel like Connor, you also have to account for like the Seinfeld percentage. There's another.
there's a lot
There's
of
another
yeah.
element to
Yeah.
include there.
Oh, yeah. But I'll pick up on those once I start watching.
Listen, I'm not a very complicated guy. There's a wrestling reference here, a Seinfeld reference there, Billy Madison reference there. By the way, what about that? Were you guys locked into the WWE thing on Thursday?
I was all in.
No, but I saw the tweet from Triple H about Cody now being the main event. So then I went to you guys for intel and I found out.
Oh my gosh, I was at Ronnie Chang, and
Shout
then I
out.
come out
Shout out to our guy Ron.
the man, and
Strong freaks.
and then all of no, listen, do we take a picture together in the VIP? Sure, but
was great.
that's neither here nor there. By the way, I wish I gave you the picture. Freaking Todd Duffy takes the photo. I'm walking out of the venue, and Todd freaking Duffy comes and rear naked chokes me. Big Todd Duffy. He's like, guess who? Guess who? I can't think. I thought it was Schultz, maybe. I'm like, nah. And then it's Todd Duffy. I'm
Similar
like,
physique.
Did you guess someone?
I said the only person I said was Schultz.
Yeah.
I wasn't thinking Todd Duffy. He's West Coast guy. Todd Duffy wearing sweatpants and like those shoes. He's those shoes that like are slip-ons and each toe is
Oh, the
yeah.
Vibram.
Oh.
Like,
What? He was wearing those to a comedy show?
not just a
The,
comedy
like-
show, Radio City Music Hall.
Individualized toes.
Oh yeah.
Rubber toes out at Radio City Music Hall.
Oh yeah.
As one does.
As
That's
Todd
a
Duffy
wild
does.
move.
I can
And
see
then
why you
running
could
up
choose
on
this
someone
process.
and
As I'm
and
talking to some other
rear
people,
naked them.
and I'm looking at my wife
Oh.
like trying to, and she should know Todd Duffy because he's from the era where we were living in a tiny apartment and she had to just by proxy watch all the fights. And I was like, that was Todd Duffy. Anyway, then we hang out with Todd and I'm like, Todd, what do we do? We're in the VIP room now, and this is like being at a wedding, but the problem is, like when we did like the show in New York, there was like a meet and greet after. But I don't know these people personally. So you can just kind of say hello, take the picture, and move on. Everyone there he knows. So everyone there wants to have a moment with him and talk to him in some way, shape, or form. Todd, I guess, DMs with him. He's a big MMA fan, etc. So I'm like, man, how are we going to I need to get back to the kids, drive back home, babysitter and all that stuff. Todd's like, oh, no big deal. I'll just walk you to the front. Todd freaking walks me to the front, barreling into everyone. I felt so embarrassed afterwards.
Rubber toes
Massive
out.
man.
What's that?
He's a massive man.
He's a gigantic human being. And, I mean, in his defense, he did get me to the front of the line. I felt like a bit of a
He
schmuck.
doesn't need defense. We're in support of this.
How'd Ronnie feel about it?
He was cool. He's like, oh, Todd, good to see
No
you.
worries.
Actually, you know, Ronnie said, let's take a picture. Like, told his guy to take a picture, you know?
Amazing. Did you get a copy of that pic?
No, and then I told Todd to take a pic, and he freaking botched it with like 100 yards of headroom. Didn't he?
Yeah.
He said, oh, I was nervous. I was shaking. No one really asked me to take a picture. Yeah, now I know why, Todd. Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
Anyway, couldn't use the phone. Opened the phone. I see Rick telling me it's now Cody versus Rock. I was very confused. Went home, watched it, enjoyed it. I thought it was great.
I actually still haven't watched it yet.
Nah, you're missing out. April 6th and 7th.
Oh,
Cody crybabies. They're satisfied now.
I mean, there's a world we should do live from Philly for Mania, live from 300, live from Haney Garcia.
I mean, I love that little
Sign me up.
3 weeks in a row. I'll have to miss Mania. Got to go to the weddings.
It's off. It's off. Yeah, the whole thing's ruined.
To all or nothing.
Yeah. Last thing,
Guess who's in, coach?
all the stuff with I mean, do we have a Strickland, this Sneeko, and Machine Gun? Do we have a say?
The less we talk about this.
Okay.
What's to say?
I don't know. Is this
I don't-
worrisome or?
No,
I
don't
all,
care.
all I'll say on this is I'm over the like I'm gonna kill you stuff. Can we put this to bed, please?
Where did that happen?
Every single time Sean Strickland opens his mouth, he's talking about rules of engagement. I'm gonna kill this person, legalize kill. Like
Oh, right.
it's just enough.
Yeah.
It's just enough at
One
this point.
thing I am for. I mean, he dropped a YouTube video going after Jake Paul today.
Today?
Didn't watch the whole thing, but I mean, his setup is unbelievable now. It's got like a super HD camera in his living room.
Who, Big Sean?
Yeah,
Wow.
motorcycle behind him in the living room.
He's got an actual set.
I'm talking like it's a high quality setup. He's sitting there in a robe with his feet up in a mug, talking about Jake Paul can fly out and he'll fight him for free.
Oh my gosh. This is great for Jake as he prepares for his fight on March 2nd.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't see that. Obviously, I was locked in on the show, but
Right.
everyone's got a great setup now.
Yeah, I mean, it looked like Once Over went over there and
That's right.
I mean, that's how nice it is.
Man,
I mean,
I like how, and now anytime someone has an improved setup, you just think, oh, did Michael Wantover go over there?
did we ever talk about Tim Welch's? If we had just given him
yeah.
a touch more headroom, it would have been.
I know he was a little bit. He was a little bit zoomed in.
It still was just an incredible setup. I mean,
Thanks for watching. We appreciate it very much. Hey, if you like this video, give us the old thumbs up. Subscribe as well. You could get many more of these videos on the channel, so please do that. We would love you forever if you did so.